Hello, Outperformers. Hope you're having a great week. Different kind of video here today, where 2 nights ago I'm checking out at Whole Foods. And you know how when you're checking out at any grocery store, you can look to basically next to the cash register and you'll see different magazines and tabloid headlines and newspapers. Some of them more constructive than others, but sure enough, I'm checking out at Whole Foods and I look next to the cash register and they've got this issue of Time magazine. And yes, this is a blatant promotion for Time. I'm obviously not compensated in any way for doing this, but I'm checking out there and there's a new special issue that's titled Mindfulness, the New Science of Health and Happiness. And if you know anything about Outperform the Norm, if you've read the book or otherwise, you know that it's split into the sections of health, happiness, and high performance. So obviously I'm going to give it a look. I'm going to give it a read. And when I talk about these things, I oftentimes say, we have never had greater insight into the brain and into the body as far as how these things function and the simple tools and techniques and strategies that we can employ into our own lives, either personally or professionally, to basically help these systems work better or to optimize human performance, which I think is what we're all after. And if you're watching this video, I know you're an outperformer that thinks that way. And I just got so much out of this that I'm really hoping you go and whether you buy it at a grocery store or Barnes & Noble or whatever it might be, give it a read, because I brought it home and I read it cover to cover. And it's nice because it talks about a lot of different things in all areas of your life and so many different things that I talk about when I speak. And to just highlight a couple of different ones, they actually talk about and they break down the different morning routines. You've probably heard me say, you show me any successful person, I'll show you someone that has the best routines or peak performance routines for success. They actually break down, like, what are your Mark Zuckerbergs, your Arianna Huffingtons, your Sir Richard Bransons, your people that have really achieved high levels in their life in many different areas. How do they structure what I typically call the vital 4%? Or how do they structure their routine? And certainly there are individual differences there, but I think for you to think along the lines of a world-class outperformer and for you to really look at what does the research say about how people structure these first parts of their day. Again, kind of getting in a positive forward momentum and then maintaining it from that point forward. So that was the first thing that stuck out. Second part of it was they have a whole thing on gratitude. And really going into what is the latest research saying. Every group that I speak to, I talk about the importance of gratitude and just waking up that way and sharing the things that you genuinely are thankful and grateful for. I mean, it is phenomenal, the different positive benefits that you get from simple acts of gratitude, in-depth acts of gratitude, where you really do something, you really are thankful to someone or to something. You're a more resilient person. You have more energy. You have a bolstered immune system, which means you get sick less. You're less stressed. You have higher achievement. You have better overall health. You sleep better at night. Like, there's just a laundry list of different things that come with these acts of gratitude. And what I kind of appreciate about this is all these different articles are chopped into, they're no more than 2 or 3 pages. So they're really in easily digestible chunks. And I'm sure you will get different things out of this than probably even I got. And then one of the last ones in here talks about finding flow. And the way that I relate this is you've probably all heard about, like, the term in the zone. Like, you see an athlete playing, let's say, on TV and you're like, oh my God, that person's just in the zone. Or you see the late Prince rocking out a guitar solo and you're like, man, that person is just in the zone. Like, they're just feeling it. And when you look at being in the zone, or what in sports psychology we call the flow state, it basically relates to business professionally as far as employee engagement. And if you've looked at any of the statistics on this, you know that really employee engagement numbers are not very good. And it talks about you have to balance the challenges and the skills for anybody in any position if you truly want them engaged. And what happens is it's not like you can all of a sudden, nobody can just snap their fingers and kind of be in that flow state where they're just so totally engrossed in what they're doing that they lose track of time and it feels like you blink and it's 4 hours later because you've been so in tune with what you're doing. You can't necessarily do that, but what you can do is manipulate and structure the conditions to make the ability to achieve flow much more, I guess, apparent or your ability to get into that, you'll be much more successful if you do it. So you have to look at challenges and skills and how you're balancing those. And the bottom line is the flow state comes from when you have someone that is challenging themselves, but they have the requisite skills to be able to be challenged in that way, if that makes sense. So we look at employee engagement. If you have someone that's kind of underperforming or they just seem disengaged, well, you most often have to look at the balance of that. And it could be that the challenge is just too high and they don't possess the skills to be able to meet that challenge. Like most of you know that I have a running background, and if I go out and if I run with someone that's just a little bit faster than me, it's going to be a greater likelihood that I'm going to get into that flow state, or I'm going to be really immersed as far as what I'm doing, versus if I go out there and if I race a Kenyan marathoner or I race an Olympian, that I have no chance because the challenge is just way beyond, above and beyond my skill level. So that's the first part that you have to look at. And then the other kind of flip side of that too is, you know, if someone's disengaged at work and you're just not getting out of them what you would like to get out of them, you also have to look at, well, are they just bored or kind of apathetic to what they're doing? Like, are they no longer being challenged in their current role or what they're doing relative to their skill level? And if that's the case, then you have to find a way to, you know, give the person different tasks and different responsibilities and obligations and empower them by challenging them in some way that's going to stretch them and pull them up just a little bit more than they were doing before. Because if you have something where someone's like, well, I mean, I could do this in my sleep, like it's just monotonous and routine, and I'm no longer stepping outside of that comfort zone and feeling like I'm challenged, well, that's not going to help things either. So that was kind of a long-winded part of just one of the last things talking about finding flow, but I think you'll find it very interesting if you're someone that manages any number of people and you really want them to be more engaged, is to think about, you know what, do I have the conditions set up where people are both challenged, but they possess the requisite skills to be able to meet that challenge and stretch them a little bit? You're just going to get a ton out of it. So anyway, again, that's Time Magazine, Mindfulness, the New Science of Health and Happiness. Go check it out. It's awesome. It'll help you outperform the norm, and I guarantee it'll just benefit your life personally and professionally. So thanks for being here on this video. Have a great rest of the week, and as always, wishing you the best of health, happiness, high performance. Have a great day.